Okay, in this tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can have a super high poly model, such as this one over here, and extract all of the normal map details using Mudbox and put them onto the low poly model, which is this one over here. So just to give you an idea, the one on the left is 8.3 million polys, and the one on the right is 8.1 thousand. Yet the details look near identical. Okay, so I'm going to refresh Max because I'm going to do this from scratch for you. Took a while to get rid of that 8.3 mil. And then what we're going to do is jump into, okay, so we've got a fresh 3D Studio Max, jump into the Mudbox, and what I will need to do is export the lowest model of this character first. So I'm just going to reopen him. Marv Sculpt. Now this character bust was sculpted using the stock character bust that you get with Mudbox when you first open it. And what happens with that is it doesn't have all of the UVs in the right place. So I'm just going to hide that line, keep the eyes for now. Okay, so we'll leave it like this. If I go to the UV window, which is here, so the little tab on the top, so the UVs for the level 0, so I'm just using page down the stack. On 0. And let's create the UVs. Essentially, either doesn't have any, or they're all just one little tiny little squares. It's not showing them on here for some reason. Just check. Oh, I've got the camera selected. There we go. So that's the UV map for this character at the moment, which obviously is wrong. Well, it's not wrong. It's just that they've been, all of his polygons are split up individually into squares and just placed randomly on this sheet. So first thing we need to do is kick out the low poly version of him, unwrap him, and then bring back the UVs only, so that this looks as it should do. Okay, so to do that, I've paged down, so I'm on the lowest possible level. You can see here active level 0, highest is 5. I've got the head selected, so you can see it's selected by highlighting it yellow. Then I'm going to go to File and Export Selection. And then I'm just going to save this elsewhere so that we've got somewhere fresh to do this with. So this guy's Marv from Home Alone. So this is our low poly version. So low poly Marv FBX, kick him out. And you can see down here, exporting mesh, it goes from 0 to 100 and then stops. And then we will also need the high poly version of him, but we'll do that later. So first, let's go into 3ds Max, File, Import, and import our desktop Marv and low poly Marv. And that brings him in. And then again, we can go to our modify list, scroll down, add unwrap UVW, and you can see again, we'll go full screen, that that's how Mudbox unwrapped it. Very bizarre. So we need to quickly unwrap it ourselves, and unwrapping heads is a lot easier than you would think. So firstly, I'm going to remove, so these green seams are map seams. They're the ones that 3D Studio Max, or Autodesk, I should say, put on. So we'll remove those. We're going to keep peel seams turned on because they're the ones I'm about to draw on the character. F4 to be able to turn the wireframe on. J to get rid of this bounding box that's running around the outside. Okay, so from here, I'm going to go to my seams point to point. So that's under the peel section. And then I'm looking for where the collar starts. So I'm going to go from here, his neck, and ring all the way around. It will always find the quickest way of getting to where your pointer is. So instead of it kind of going like that, it could do this. So it always tries to find the fastest way. So when you're doing this, you know, don't go one by one because that will take you ages, but don't go too far because you might go where you don't want it to. So that comes all the way around the back, and I'm going to go up the middle of the head. This is how you'll do every head model, how you unwrap any head model. So, whoa, didn't want to go all the way. Yeah, I'm going to go to where his hairline starts, which is here. So I'm going to come across and then round to there. And then same on the other side. Here. Round to there. Okay, that's the head. And I'm going to I'm going to take the ears off. Because they're going to need space to unwrap. And let's see if it'll come back out the other side. Oh, that's good. I'll do the same on the other side. I'm just pressing F3 so I can see it in wireframe mode to check if it's going where I want it to. That's cool. And then on the top, this section here, you would probably want to have edges running down like this if he was wearing a separate t-shirt or a top or something, but this model doesn't have that. So I'm just going to come straight down the back like that. Okay, cool. From there then, turn off point to point, select an area of your model, click on this button to fill it to where the seams are, so where those blue seams that we drew. And then I'm going to choose pelt map. I'm going to start, stop, relax it, stop it, and then use this peel mount mode button right here. I'm going to commit that and hit peel here. Turn peel mode back off again, and then I can move it. There's the bottom section unwrapped, and we can check it for UV tiling. Go check a pattern. There you go. So we've got perfect squares all the way around. Nice and easy. Moving on. Face. Again, expand to selection set, so it should be everything bar the ears and the top and the torso. Again, hitting start pelt, start, relax, stop, commit. I don't care what it looks like in here because this button here, this magical button peel, sorts it all out for us. Boom. And there's the head. We can rotate that. You can see what it looks like here. Look. So there's the nose, eyes, mouth. And again, you can see that it's perfect squares running around it as well. So we're all good, we're all happy. All of this is ears, would you believe? So again, select one area, expand, start, stop, relax, stop, commit, middle button. Same on the other side. Expand, peel, and done. Okay, so they're all the pieces. So we can move those. There's one ear, there's two ears, there's nothing left. So we know all of this is everything. Select the whole up. We then want it to roughly kind of size itself up properly. So here you got an option for rescaling the elements, because obviously your ears aren't that big compared to the head. So click on this button here and it resizes them. So you can see they're roughly the right size. And then we can hit this one here, which packs everything into the area that we want it to be in. I'm just going to full screen this for a second because there's a couple of little things we want to tweak. So this is taking up too much space. This needs to be the main asset. So this needs to be as big as possible. We could put it diagonally if you wanted to take up even more space, but it's not that necessary. So I'm going to leave it there, and then I'm going to put one ear in that corner, and put the other one in that corner. And then this section, I'm going to rotate it slightly. I'm going to get it to fit in here. So if I place it sort of there, and then over on our peel options again, I'm going to click on that middle peel button. And then what I'm going to do is just move the whole thing down. Go to my verts over here, and you notice that it's gone purple. And what that means is that we can select and move, and everything else will kind of move with it. So I'll show you. So as hold on, I didn't want that on. I can select and move this one. You can see how like it keeps its form. It makes sure that your squares that we're looking for a still square. Oops. But we can shrink its size. The right one. So we can get it to fit in. We can grab this middle point here, scale that in. Okay, so it looks like weird voodoo magic, but it's not. This came into Max about, I think, 2014. So yeah, so that's now got us squeezing that in where it should be. I'm always trying to sort of level it off as much as I can. So there we go, head, torso, ears. With that done, we can close the unwrapper. And we're done with unwrap now. I'm going to select the object, file, export, export selected, and I'm going to export it. I'm going to overwrite. No, actually, I'm going to use our new folder so you can see I'm doing this completely fresh. So inside here, I'm going to save it as Marv UVs OBJ. Make sure it's an OBJ because Mudbox prefers them. Click save. And then right here, you've got a preset. It's normally set to none. You can change that to say Mudbox, so that it ensures that things like the faces are set to quads as opposed to triangles or polygons. And there's a couple of like smoothing groups and things it adds in as well. Just change that to Mudbox and you know you're good to go. Click export. If there's any errors at all with the model, it will tell you here. There shouldn't be. And then done. So now if we go back into Mudbox, remember our UVs look like that. What we can do now is go to File, Import UV, not import, import UV, because we're not importing the mesh. We're just going to import the actual UVs that we just created. So I'm going to go to Marv. There's our Marv UVs.obj. Open that. Do them by vertex ID because we're using the same amount of vertices, so it should be able to just find the same ones and just replace them or move them. Click OK. Once it's finished, saying 100%, I think it's doing one last thing. There we go. So our mesh now has been, or our UVs have been completely changed. It's exactly the same 3D model that we had before, but we've redone all the UVs. Cool. Next, now we want to export the high and the low poly versions. So we're going to come up to UVs and maps, down to extract texture map and a new operation. In here, it's going to be a normal operation, normal map operation. Click on normal map. And then in here, your target models, all of the models that you want in their lowest poly form. And then the source models, the highest resolution model that you've got. So I'm going to click on add all and add all in here. I only actually want this one. So I'm just going to remove these, this one. Same goes here. Okay, so I'm not interested in eyes and all that sort of stuff. Just make sure this one's at level 0. If you click it, you can tell it which option. So there will be some times when level 0 is too low poly for you, and actually you want to kick out level 1 or level 2. For us, we're going to do 0, but if you needed to, this is where you change it. And then again, make sure that level 5 is the highest level that you've got, or yeah, just choose the highest level. Scrolling down, you want to make sure that you're doing it via ray casting. Ray casting is basically it sends out tiny little rays from the lowest poly to the highest polyed version. It works out the differences between them, so it knows how to do the normal map from it. Here, search distance, you'll never be able to understand that yourself, so just click on best guess and it will work it out itself. It does a little calculation and works out by itself, so don't worry about trying to guess that yourself. Image properties here, creating one map for all targets, cool. And then in here, you want a 2048 or 4096, depending on how high or low you want to go. He's got quite a few details and we want the normal map to be crisp, so I'm going to push it up to 4K. We can always drop it down in Photoshop later if we need to. Anti-aliasing, I tend to only put on 2. More than that and it ends up looking a bit too strange. You know, when you what's the word, when you sharpen something too much in Photoshop, it just looks a bit odd. So just keep it on 2. Normal map here, so the compatibility, obviously we're kicking it out to 3ds Max, and we want tangent space, which is correct. It's a texture that we're kicking out, it's not anything else, it's not a ptex. So click on here, save what you want it to be saved as. I'll save it back in our original folder. our Marv normal map PNG. 8-bit is absolutely fine, and then you hit extract. Again, you'll see over here it doing its business, and ignore this. It tends to say not responding. Every machine I've done this on says that, but it is doing it in the background. You can see here it's extracting. Cool. So click OK, close on that, and then we'll jump back into 3D Studio Max. So the object that we've got here, remember this is the low poly version of our Marv character, created by Bradley Dalimer, by the way. I want to give him a little shout. Go into the materials, so press M on the keyboard to bring up your material editor. I'm going to change this back to slate. Not sure why it isn't already. Let's move him over here so we can see what's going on. And then in here, so what I want to do is add a standard map. And with that standard map, I want to add a bump. So over here, we're going to go general. We want to add a normal bump. And then inside the normal, we're going to add the image that we've just kicked out from Mudbox. So we go to bitmap, go to my Marv folder. There's the normal map that Mudbox just created. So we can open that. So they're all connected together. This then needs to be sent to the object. So I'm going to tell it to go on, and then here show material in the viewport. And then finally, well, not finally, actually, just before finally, change it from standard to high quality, so as it would appear in game. And then in the map section here, to click that drop down, and you can see our bump is currently only at 30%, so we can push that up to 100, and all of the details finally have come back into play. Okay. If I was to import the high poly model of this character, so let me just save this as low. Reset. You want to reset? Yes. I've already exported the highest version of Mudbox. Basically, to export the highest version, just page up until you are at that highest version. So I'll show you. Use 5 as right there. Okay, so at the highest layer now. Whichever level you're on, and you've got the object selected. So here I've got the head selected. I go File and Export Selection. It will automatically export whatever level I'm on. So this will now export a high. Right. Okay. So in Max, if I import a high version of Marv, that one is still saving. Go for it. I think that was the one that was still saving. Okay, I might think it's done. All right, let's do that again then. So if I go import the high version of Marv, okay. So remember, we're importing 8.3 million polys right now. So you can see by the just pure whiteness of the wireframe. So that's him there. And then I'm going to import the merging our Marv low. I want just the head. Auto rename. So they're sat on top of each other in a minute. Just going to go full screen in this viewport so we can see what's going on. And then I'm going to grab a high poly, just move them over here. So there's your high and your low next to each other. Let's go back to our materials. Oh, it's lost what I did before. Sorry, I'll show you again. Bump map, general, normal, normal, general, bitmap, Marv normal map. Double click this one. Make sure your maps are up to 100, and then make sure that this one is applied to this one. Basically. And make sure your standard set to high. And then this guy over here, if we just give him a standard material, we'll be able to see the difference between the two. Okay, so the one on your left is 8,000 tries, and the one on the right is 8.3 million, and they look pretty much the same. Okay, there's low to high poly.